A ton of snow will be coming to the United States over the next 7 days, as we are expecting several different winter storms that'll bring both snow and ice accumulation to the United States, in addition to the return of severe weather, including the threat of tornadoes down in areas like the southern plains and as well as the southeast. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about these upcoming winter storms and exactly how much snow you can expect in your area. We'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and we have a huge winter storm that's been ongoing over the last 24 hours. Most of that has now moved across New England, dumping tons of snow and as well as ice accumulation across areas like Pennsylvania, New York, and most of New England. And I actually had some viewers tell me yesterday that there was a lot of ice accumulating over in Pennsylvania, and unfortunately there will definitely be some travel impacts today with all that ice that has accumulated, in addition to some isolated power outages. And then back over in New England, the rest of that snow is now moving offshore, so we are done talking about this winter storm after a few hours from now. And then elsewhere, we have a elongated cold front that's been moving across Texas and back into the Dixie Alley. Many areas are waking up much colder back in the southern plains and through the Tennessee Valley. On the other hand, warm weather is going to continue back over in the southeast for the foreseeable future. And then back over into the northern plains, west coast, and Rocky Mountains, things are quiet for right now, but it will not stay like that as we go into Monday and as well as into Tuesday. And yesterday's winter storm in the upper Midwest overperformed for many, as we actually had a widespread area between 7 to even upwards of 13 inches of snowfall. Just north of Minneapolis, one area near Andover picked up 8 inches of snowfall, and the highest number that we've seen out of this entire winter storm was in Medford, Wisconsin, at a whopping 13 inches of snowfall. Let me know down in the comments below how much snow you saw if you are in any of these areas. And before we talk more about these winter storms that are coming up, I do want to remind you, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We are going to have daily updates talking all about these winter storms, in addition to more than likely at least one live stream this week, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel for the latest updates. Now let's talk more about these big winter storms that are coming to the United States over the next several days, and we'll begin with what's happening tomorrow. So this will be a transitional day because we have a big winter storm happening in the northeast right now that's moving out, and then eventually into tomorrow we are going to have an area of moisture coming out of the Gulf and colder air coming out of Canada, and this is all going to meet in this battleground area, which is where we're going to have a mix of snow, rain, and even at times freezing rain and sleet as we go throughout the daytime on Monday and as well as on Tuesday. So notice how we have this area here in the Central Plains Monday afternoon that's going to start to build up, and eventually as we go into Tuesday morning, we have an elongated area of snow across areas like Kansas and Nebraska, back into Kentucky, including many areas in the Ohio Valley, and also back into the Mid-Atlantic region, while a normal rain is falling across areas like southern Oklahoma, Texas, and then even back into the Dixie Alley. Eventually, as we go into late Tuesday, that's when moderate to heavy snowfall will be blanketing areas back over in the mid-Atlantic, including areas like Maryland. If you're back over in Kentucky, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, there will also be some moderate to heavy snowfall here, and it's expected to be a wet snow, which means it should stack up pretty quickly. There will also be some freezing rain, but keep in mind that this will be a very narrow corridor where we are dealing with freezing rain. This will lead to some slick spots on the roadways. This could even impact areas as far south as northern Arkansas. And then eventually, as we go throughout the nighttime on Tuesday and into early Wednesday, heavy snow will continue back over in the mid-Atlantic, including areas like Maryland, New Jersey, Delaware, and West Virginia. And right behind this, we have yet again another winter storm that's going to form as we go throughout the daytime on Wednesday. This will be more significant than the one we're going to be dealing with on Tuesday for those in the Central Plains and the Midwest, as a larger swath of heavy snowfall will be occurring across the Central Plains and the Midwest. Freezing rain is likely to be even further south. That could impact areas like central and southwestern Oklahoma throughout the daytime on Wednesday. And then eventually by early Thursday morning, that heavy snowfall is continuing to move into areas like the Midwest, into the northern Ohio Valley, and also into the Northeast. And freezing rain will continue to be a problem, which means that there will be some ice accumulation that leads to some slick spots on the roadways. Now, while all that's happening, Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, watch out for some isolated severe weather back over in the Dixie Alley, where a couple of tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail will all be possible. And then eventually, as we go into late Thursday night, this is all continuing to move into the Northeast, where heavy snowfall is likely in northern New England, and then freezing rain and sleet more likely than not in southern New England. But there could be some changes to the forecast as we are still about 4 days out, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for the latest updates. Eventually, as we go into Friday, you might think, hey, we're done with all the snow, right? We're really not, because we're gonna have another winter storm as we go into Saturday, and this could easily be the biggest winter storm that we've seen all winter long across the United States, because as we go into Saturday morning, we have a huge area of snow from the Central Plains through the Midwest and also into the Northeast, and then severe weather back over in the lower Mississippi Valley and also throughout the Dixie Alley. Now, there are some things that could change here, as we still are about 6 days out from this, so keep that in mind. The scale of this, in addition to where we're talking about severe weather, what the intensity is, and also how much snow falls, is all up in the air. Since we are still 6 days out, there will be some changes to the forecast. With that said, I do think we are talking about one of the largest storms that we've seen so far this winter, which will be impacting dozens of states here anywhere east of the Rocky Mountains. And this will continue all the way throughout the day on Sunday. And then eventually, as we go into early next week, I think things start to quiet down for most of the United States. Now, we are going to go region to region in terms of how much snowfall you can expect out of each of these winter storms. We're going to begin with the first winter storm that is happening Tuesday into Wednesday, back over in the mid-Atlantic and also through the Ohio Valley and also into the Central Plains, where we are expecting a large area here across the mid-Atlantic to pick up at least 1 to 3 inches of snow. But our more significant snowfall accumulation will lie into northern Kentucky, West Virginia, and also through Virginia, and even into parts of Maryland and Delaware, where there will be a large swath here between 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. Some areas could be as high as 12 to even 14 inches of snowfall. Now, that's going to be more isolated, I think, but it is a possibility that we could have a few areas over a foot of snow. Elsewhere, though, not really talking about much into southern New England, and same thing goes back over here in like Tennessee or southern Virginia. It's a very sharp divide. It's going to be a very narrow area of moderate to heavy snowfall. And then in the Central Plains, we are expecting 3 different snow events over the next 7 days, and the first one will be on Tuesday. This won't be really much of a winter storm, but many areas in a narrow corridor across Kansas, Missouri, and also back into Illinois and Kentucky will pick up around 1 to 4 inches of snowfall, so not really anything to really write home about here. But eventually, as we go into Thursday, that is when we're expecting a larger area of snowfall, with a large area between about 2 to 5 inches of snow from Kansas back into Indiana and as well as Ohio and Illinois. European model, by the way, is pretty similar to this, showing a large area of snowfall, not nearly as significant when it comes to snowfall accumulation, but still noticeable. There will definitely be, I think, several inches of snow out there. And then the winter storm that we are expecting this weekend would really knock the ball out of the park when it comes to the first 2 winter weather events that we're expecting. We could be talking about a large area around 6 to 12 inches of snowfall in the Midwest, even back into the parts of the Central Plains and even into the northern Ohio Valley. And on the other hand, the European model is showing a lot less snowfall as we go into Saturday across the Midwest and also into the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley, with a large area between 2 to 5 inches of snow. So again, there are still several days until this winter storm. There will be some changes to the forecast. Either way, I think we are going to be talking about some sort of significant severe weather back into the Dixie Alley and the Deep South, which we'll talk more about here in just a moment. And no matter how the cookie crumbles with these winter storms, it looks like we are going to be dealing with a boatload of snowfall in the Northeast as we go into Saturday and into Sunday. We could be talking about upwards of 10 to 15 inches of snow in a large area in northern New England. GFS model's on board with that. The European model is even more bullish when it comes to snowfall in areas like New England. So this could be a pretty crazy next several days here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep you posted with the latest on these winter storms, because it's going to be really crazy, I think, especially this weekend. And either way you split it, we are talking about, it looks like, a ton of snowfall here over the next 7 days or so. This all the way through Monday morning. There's going to likely be a large swath of over a foot of snowfall across areas like the Central Plains, back through the Midwest and into the Northeast. European model, again, is relatively similar when it comes to how much snow we could see out of these winter storms. Has a jackpot amount of snowfall back up into Canada. Upwards of even 40 inches of snow could fall in some areas, which is just unbelievable. Even when it comes to February standards, this is a lot of snow in a relatively short amount of time. And unfortunately, all of this snow is also going to lead to some significant severe weather this week. We do have at least a threat, I think, late Wednesday and into early Thursday for at least some severe weather. I wouldn't say we're going to see a full-blown outbreak, at least for right now. There could be some changes to the forecast, but I'd say as we go into Wednesday night, some severe weather will be happening over in the Dixie Alley and the Tennessee Valley, where some isolated damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes will be possible. I think as we go into Saturday, that's when a more robust threat of severe weather will likely exist back into the Deep South and also into the Dixie Alley. So we're keeping a close eye on both of these threats, and there is a chance that we go live for either one or maybe both of these threats. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified if we end up going live. And also, it is going to get pretty cold this week. We are expecting a couple of shots of Arctic air. The first one will really be tomorrow into Tuesday across the central and northern plains and back into the Midwest, and then eventually Wednesday and Thursday, another brief shot of cold air will move across the Midwest, and then eventually, as we get closer to Friday, Saturday, into Sunday, that is when the worst of the cold air will arrive arrive to the Great Plains and the Midwest, and this will really be effective on Sunday. And then early next week, we are expecting that cold air to move into the Northeast and up and down the East Coast, including areas maybe as like Florida as well, which has been very warm recently. And then after that, we are expecting warmer weather for the middle of next week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.